I never thought the woman who birthed me would sell my soul for a quick buck. But there she was, dialing 911 with a sob story about Grandpa's heart attack, just to buy herself time to gut the family business from the inside. That night in Chicago, as I stared at the hotel minibar's flickering neon reflection, my phone buzzed with the news. $4.2 million vanished. And the board was whispering about incompetence mine. By dawn, I'd wired the kill switch. But the real knife was the voicemail she left. Fiona, baby, it's not what you think. I did it for us. The rain-slicked streets of Chicago gleamed under the sodium lamps as I stepped out of O'Hare. The kind of autumn downpour that turns the windy city into a watercolor smear. It was my third business trip in as many months for Harlan & Sons, the logistics empire Dad built from a single truck in the Rust Belt garages of Youngstown, Ohio. Back when unions still meant something and a man's word was his bond. I was Fiona Harlan, 32, VP of Operations, the daughter who'd clawed her way up without a silver spoon, just grit, late nights, and the ghost of a father who died believing in me. Harlan & Sons wasn't just a company, it was the artery pumping life into our fractured family. A sprawling network of warehouses from the ports of Long Beach to the rail yards of Chicago, hauling everything from semiconductors to seasonal sodas for the big-box behemoths. I'd landed that morning for a high-stakes pitch to a consortium of Midwest distributors, the kind of deal that could lock in contracts worth north of $50 million over 5 years. My briefcase was stuffed with projections, risk assessments, and a thermos of black coffee strong enough to strip paint. Mom, Eleanor Harlan, once the belle of Cleveland's charity galas, had waved me off at Hopkins with her usual flourish, a silk scarf, a lipstick kiss on my cheek, and a promise to hold down the fort at the Canton headquarters. Go get 'em. Fi, she'd said, her voice honey over gravel, the way it got after her third martini. I didn't think twice. Why would I? She was Mom, flamboyant, flawed, but family. The pitch went like gangbusters. By 4 p.m., handshakes all around, NDAs signed, and a tentative letter of intent on the table. I texted Mom a quick victory emoji, picturing her perched in Dad's old leather chair, scrolling spreadsheets with that feigned boredom she reserved for anything numerical. Her reply came fast. Proud of you, kiddo. Call when you land. No fanfare. But that was Eleanor, emotions doled out like rationed wartime sugar. I hit the hotel gym to burn off the adrenaline, pounding the treadmill until my quads screamed, then showered and collapsed into bed with room service pad thai and a muted CNBC drone. Sleep came hard, the kind fractured by jet-lagged dreams of Dad's funeral. His casket lowered into the Ohio clay while Mom sobbed theatrically beside me, her grief a performance I'd envied until I realized it was all spotlight. At 2:17 a.m., my phone shattered the silence, not a text, but a call from Harlan's night shift CFO, Marty Klein, his voice a wheeze like he'd run a marathon in wingtips. Fiona? Jesus. Fi. You gotta get back here. It's bad. Real bad. I bolted upright, heart jackhammering. What? The deal fall through? Worse. Money's gone. 4.2 mil. Wired out clean as a whistle. Boardrooms and meltdown, they're saying it's an inside job, and fingers are pointing at you. Oversight lapses on that Tokyo expansion last quarter. Get on the first flight. The world tilted. I was on my feet, yanking on yesterday's slacks. The phone clamped to my ear as Marty spilled details in frantic bursts. The funds were from the emergency reserve, earmarked for a bridge loan on the new automated warehouse in Reno. A forged authorization, my digital signature, somehow cloned from the VPN logs. And the kicker, the transfer routed through a Cayman shell. But the trigger? A 911 call to the Canton PD at 7:42 p.m. By time, reporting Grandpa Harlan's sudden cardiac arrest at the family estate. Dispatch logs showed Mom as the caller, hysterical, demanding an ambulance for the old man who'd been dust in a Quaker urn for 8 years. Grandpa Harlan Elias, the steel-hearted patriarch who'd bootstrapped the company through 2 recessions and a steel mill strike that nearly broke him, had passed in '09. Pancreatic cancer eating him from the inside out. His ashes sat on the mantel in the estate's library, right next to the brass eagle Dad had melted down from scrap during the war. Faking his death, it was beyond grotesque. It was a desecration. A slap to the legacy that had kept us afloat when Mom's shopping sprees threatened to sink us. I didn't wait for dawn. Red-eye to Akron Canton. Economy's seat be damned. My mind a cyclone of hypotheticals. Hackers? No. Too surgical. Disgruntled employee? Marty swore the IT logs showed internal access.
But Mom. No. Couldn't be.
She'd always been the wild card, marrying Dad for his prospects, turning the company Christmas parties into her personal cotillion, then spiraling after his aneurysm in the boardroom 5 years back. I'd covered for her then, too. The misplaced expense reports that were really blackjack tabs from Atlantic City. The consultant fees that funded her Hamptons weekends. For the family image. She'd coo, pressing a check into my hand like hush money. I'd swallowed it all. Because blood's thicker than ink. Right? Or so the American dream sells you. The Canton estate loomed as the cab splashed through puddles. A Georgian monstrosity Dad had bought in the '80s boom. All white columns and wraparound porch, now sagging under deferred maintenance. Mom's Beamer was in the drive. Vanity plate, queenal. Engine still ticking hot. No ambulance lights. No cop cars, just the porch light buzzing like a trapped hornet. I paid the driver with a crumpled 20 and stormed up the steps. Keys shaking in the lock. Eleanor. My voice cracked the foyer silence, echoing off the marble like a gunshot. The house smelled of Chanel No. 5 and stale takeout. Lo mein cartons piled on the console table.
Mom.
What the hell did you do? She emerged from the library like a specter in a cashmere robe. Hair mussed. Eyes puffy from what I prayed were tears, and not another bender. Fiona?
Oh.
Thank God. I shoved past her, beelining for the desk where the company desktop hummed innocently. The screensaver cycled through Harlan trucks on sun-dappled highways. A lie now. I yanked the keyboard close, fingers flying through the login, my admin creds. Unchanged because trust is the currency of family firms. Audit trails. Transaction logs. There it was. Timestamped 8:15 p.m. IP from the estate's router. Authorization. Fiona Harlan. Amount. $4,200,000. Destination. Obscured. But the metadata screamed offshore. You. I whispered, turning slow, the betrayal coiling in my gut like barbed wire. You faked Grandpa's death too.
What?
Distract the night crew? Buy yourself an hour to loot us blind. Her face crumpled. But not in remorse, more like a starlet caught mid-scene. Listen. It's not stealing, it's reclaiming. Your father owed me. Owed us. That man buried secrets deeper than his goddamn coffins. And I. Secrets. I laughed. Bitter as battery acid. What? The golf memberships he hid from you? The mistress in Boca? Spill it.
Mom.
Because right now, you're looking at fraud charges that could land you in Chillicothe for a decade. She sank into the wingback, lighting a Virginia Slim with trembling hands, the flame-dancing shadows across her Botox-smooth forehead. It started before you were born.
Phi.
Elias, your grandpa, he wasn't the saint we toasted at Thanksgiving. Back in '78, during the steel slump, he cooked the books on a union pension fund, embezzled near a mill to keep the trucks rolling. Your dad found out, covered it up, falsified manifests, backdated invoices. Took the fall in spirit if not on paper. IRS audit in '82, Dad ate the penalties, the fines, the sleepless nights. But Elias walked free, built this empire on stolen retirements. I froze, the room spinning. Dad had never breathed a word, not in the hospital, not in his last rasping breaths. And you knew, all this time, found the ledgers after he died, hidden in the attic, wrapped in oilcloth like some pirate's map. I confronted Elias on his deathbed. He laughed, said it was business, darling, the American way. But it ate at me.
Phi.
Those widows in Youngstown, scraping by on nothing while we summered in the vineyard. When the Reno project hit a snag, delays, overruns, I saw my chance. That reserve fund? It's blood money. I just balanced the scales. Balanced. I snatched the phone from a robe pocket, thumbing through recent calls. 911 dispatch. Then a blocked number with a 345 prefix, Caymans. You impersonated a dead man to gut my company. The boards bang for my head.
Mom.
They think I did it. Because who else has access? Your daughter. The loyal fool who's been mopping up your messes since I was 20. Tears tracked her rouge now. Genuine or not, I couldn't tell anymore. I left you a voicemail. Didn't you listen? The money's not gone. It's leveraged. I flipped it into options on that distributor deal you closed today. By next quarter, it'll be double, enough to pay back the widows. Quietly. For Dad's sake. For your sake. I played it back. Her voice tinny and slurred. Fiona. Baby. It's not what you think. I did it for us. Lies layered on lies. But beneath the rage, a sliver of doubt wormed in. Had Dad really shouldered that sin? I'd idolized him, built my life on his mythos. If she was right.
No. Not now.
Sirens wailed distant. Maybe Marty tipping off the sheriff. Or just my paranoia. Get your things, I said. Voice steel. We're fixing this. Together. Or I walk you into the DA's office myself. She nodded. But her eyes, sharp as a switchblade, held something else. Calculation. As we drove to headquarters in silence, the wipers slapping rhythm like a metronome to my unraveling world, I wondered, was this the end of her rope? Or the start of mine? Headquarters squatted on the edge of Canton like a concrete bunker, floodlights carving harsh angles from the pre-dawn murk, security cams winking red as we pulled into the lot. Harlan and Sons Nerve Center. Loading bays silent now. Conveyor ghosts under fluorescent hum. The air thick with diesel ghosts and desperation. I badged us through the side door. Mom trailing like a shadow in her robe-over jeans ensemble, clutching a tumbler of what smelled like bourbon-spiked tea. Marty was waiting in the server room. Paunch, straining his polo. Face slick with sweat despite the AC chill. Phi, MS. Harlan, he stammered, eyes darting to Mom like she'd sprouted horns. Cops en route. Board emergency call at 7. What the? Stand down, I snapped, shouldering past to the cluster of glowing towers. Give me the chair. He vacated it like it was electrified. And I dove in, firewall breaches. No, keyloggers.
Clean.
Just her. Eleanor's fingerprints all over the VPN tunnel. Sloppy in her haste. Like she wanted to be caught. Or tested. Mom hovered. Breath hot on my neck.
See?
It's all there. The options trade, symbol HRLNOPT. Expiration December. I used your SIG for authenticity, but the beneficiary's a trust. In your name.
Phi.
Clean. I pulled up the ledger. Heart sinking as the Cayman wire resolved, not vanished, but parked in a blind pool. Leveraged against soybean futures and that distributor handshake. Risky as hell, volatility could wipe it out by lunch, but if it hit, we'd be flush. You gambled the company on a hunch. My hunch. Without asking. Family doesn't ask, she murmured, lighting another smoke despite the no-smoking signs. Your father taught me that. Covering for Elias? He didn't consult me either. Just came home one night, white as milk, and said, Ellie, we're in it now. I held him while he shook.
Phi.
Raised you on that lie. Marty cleared his throat. Phone buzzing. Sheriff's five out. You want me to? Stall them. I waved him off. Mind racing. The board, old guard relics like Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, who'd always eyed my rise with squint-eyed suspicion, would crucify me if this leaked. Headlines in the Canton Repository. Harlan heiress flees with fortune?
No.
I needed control. Fast and filthy. Options, I muttered. Cross-referencing trades. She'd timed it perfect. Post-pitch spike in our stock. Whispers of the deal leaking to Bloomberg. If I could unwind it quietly. But no. That'd flag the auditors. Write it out. Pray the markets didn't tank on election jitters?
Or.
The idea hit like black ice, slick, treacherous. American as apple pie and Enron. Dad's old playbook. The one Elias had authored. Leverage the crisis. I accessed the shareholder portal. My founder-level access unchallenged. Harlan and Sons was 52% family-held. Dad's 40% to me upon his death. Mom's 10% from the prenup carve-out. The rest splintered among cousins and loyalists. But proxies, the dark art. Mom's shares were in a revocable trust. Administrator, yours truly, per Dad's will. She'd never bothered to amend it. Too busy with bridge clubs and Botox. Phi. What are you? Her hand on my shoulder. Nails digging. I shrugged it off. Initiating the proxy recall. Digital signatures flew. Hers. Authenticated via the estate's biometrics, that thumbprint scanner Dad installed post-hack in 18. In a cascade of code. Her 10% flipped to my column. 62%. Controlling interest. You bitch, she breathed. But there was awe in it. Or maybe just the bourbon talking. You're doing it. Taking the throne. Not taking. Reclaiming. I hit execute. The system chirping confirmation.
Now.
The bylaws. Emergency powers vested in majority holder during material breach. I invoked it. Drafting a one-page decree, me as interim CEO. Effective immediately. All prior actions under review. CC'd to the board. With a polite nudge. Stand by for audit. Loyalty appreciated. Marty's eyes bulged. Holy shit.
Phi.
That's a coup. It's survival. Sirens wailed closer. Blue flickers painting the blinds. I stood, smoothing my blouse, the weight of it settling like a crown of thorns. Mom, you're with me or against me? Say it now. She stubbed out her cigarette on the desk blotter, a slow smile cracking her facade, predatory, proud. With you?
Kiddo.
Always was. But remember, I taught you to play dirty. We met the sheriff in the lobby. 2 deputies in khaki, badges glinting under the atrium skylight. Deputy Hargrove, paunchy and polite, the kind of small-town law who'd golfed with Dad at Firestone. MS. Harlan got a report of embezzlement. Night Watch called it in. I stepped forward, Mom a step behind, her hand light on my elbow, support or restraint. Deputy. Appreciate the prompt. False alarm. Mostly. Internal glitch on a transfer, my signature. But Mom hears the culprit. I nodded back, selling the mea culpa with a wry smile. Overzealous on a family trust move. We've self-reported to the SEC. Audits spinning up. No crime. Just chaos. Hargrove's brow furrowed. Notepad flipping. Ma'am? To Mom. She fluttered lashes. Voice quaver perfect.
Oh.
Deputy. I panicked. Thought Elias, God rest him, was calling from beyond about the accounts. Old age. You know? Fiona's sorting it. She's the brains. He chuckled. Buying the Dottie Dame routine hook, line, and sinker. Well, if it's squared. But we'll need statements. Tomorrow, I interjected, handing over my card. Noon sharp. Coffee on me at the mill. Small town grease. Always works. They lumbered out, tails between legs, and Marty locked the door behind them. That was ballsy. Board's gonna eat you alive at 7. Let them. I turned to Mom, the air between us crackling like a live wire. Your play bought us time. Now mine. But if this options bet sours, if we lose the reserve, we're done. Both of us. Her eyes, green as mine but harder, held steady. Then we win.
Fi.
Or we burn it all. By 6:45, the boardroom was a pressure cooker, Uncle Ray red-faced at the head, Martinette mustache twitching, Cousin Lila, Dad's niece, tapping her Mont Blanc like a Morse code SOS, the rest a mix of gray suits and golf tans, loyalists who'd inked golden parachutes under my watch. I entered last, Mom flanking like a consigliera. Coffee service ignored as I claimed Dad's chair, leather cracked, monogrammed JH. Ladies, gentlemen, I began. No preamble. By majority proxy, I'm assuming CEO duties effective 0600. The $4.2 million? Recovered in full. Leveraged into a high-yield position tied to today's distributor close. Returns projected at 180% by end of year. Pending market stability. Murmurs rippled, shock. Suspicion. Ray slammed a fist. Leveraged? That's roulette.
Girl.
And this. This recall of Eleanor's shares? Smells like strong-arming. Mom leaned in. Voice silk. Raymond.
Dear.
It's all above board. We'll stipulated it.
Besides.
You signed off on the trust. 88 addendum. Page 17. He sputtered, flipping files, while Lila eyed me appraising. Fiona. If this tanks. It won't. I slid folios across. Projections. Risk matrices. The works. Or we pivot to the contingency, divest the Reno site, recoup via asset sale. But trust me, we're Harlans. We don't fold. The vote was 8-4. My proxy's tipping it. Ray stormed out cursing dynasty bullshit, but the rest nodded. Uneasy allies. By 8 a.m. Press release drafted. Harlan and Sons secures landmark deal. Bolsters reserves. No mention of the heist. Just upward trajectories and American ingenuity. Mom and I retreated to the executive suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the industrial sprawl, trucks rumbling to life. Empires in motion. She poured scotch.
Neat.
Clinking glasses. To the queens. I sipped. The burn steadying me. You covered for Dad once. Now I cover for you. But no more secrets. Eleanor. What's the real endgame here? The widows? Or just your escape hatch? She paused. Glass midway. The mask slipping.
Both. Phi.
And more. That ledger? It wasn't just Elias. Your father. He added to it. In 2005, during the housing bubble, mortgaged phantom properties to juice the quarterly. Bailed out when it popped. But the exposure. Stop. The room closed in. Dad's ghost heavier than the oak desk. We'll audit it all.
Clean house.
But if you're lying, I'm not. Her hand covered mine.
Cool and certain.
We're in it together now. Sisters in sin. The markets opened at 9:30. HRLN stock ticking up on the deal buzz. Our options? Green arrows. Volatility, be damned. Victory tasted like ash, though sweet betrayal laced with dread. As I fielded calls from distributors, Mom slipped out 4 errands, her beamer vanishing into the haze. I didn't ask where. Some poisons you swallow slow. By noon, the sheriff's statements loomed, but Hargrove texted. All good.
Folks.
Paperwork squared. Grease money. Or Mom's charm. Didn't matter. The board simmered. Ray plotting in shadows. But control was mine overnight. Unyielding. Yet as the sun burned through clouds, casting long shadows over the yard, doubt gnawed. Was I saving the empire? Or just papering over rot? And Mom, my villain, my mirror, what fresh flip would she pull next? Weeks blurred into a frenzy of damage control and dazzle. Harlan and Sons roared back. Reno warehouse broke ground under floodlights. Distributors locked in with ironclad clauses. Stock climbing to 52-week highs on whispers of Harlan resurgence. I was the face, Fiona Harlan. The steel-spined savior. Gracing Crane's Cleveland with a profile on women reclaiming the Rust Belt. Interviews painted me as the phoenix, orphaned by tragedy, Dad's aneurysm glossed to heroism. Betrayed by circumstance. Rising unbowed. Mom played consort, the gracious matriarch, at my elbow for ribbon cuttings. Her smiles camera-ready. But off-lens, she was a ghost, slipping into the library at odd hours, murmuring into burner phones, her errands stacking like cordwood. The Widow's Fund, her pet project, funneled quietly through a 501c, three-eyed greenlit, $1.20 mill dispersed to 09 pension claimants. Checks mailed from a P.O. box in Akron. Justice deferred, she called it, toasting with chamomile at our weekly debriefs. I nodded. But the ledger haunted me. Elias's scrawls in faded blue ink. Dad's additions crisp as fresh lies. I'd hired a discreet forensic accountant, a pitbull named Sal from D.C., to trace the rot without tipping the board. Give me dirt, I told him over encrypted Zoom. But bury it deep till I say. Ray circled like a hawk, cornering me at the Thanksgiving mixer, turkey dry as his wit, bourbon flowing free. This proxy play, niece, smacks of the old man's tricks. Elias would have admired it. His breath was onions and malice. But blood don't always thin right. Watch your back. I laughed it off, clinking his glass. Uncle, if I need a watchdog, I'll hire one. You stick to dividends. But his words festered. Mom's flips grew erratic. One night, she'd blueprint expansions into drone logistics, her mind sharp as a prospectus. The next, she'd vanish to spa weekends in Boca, returning with tan lines and evasions. Old friends, she'd say. But her phone's location history lied. Detours to Youngstown Mills, ghost towns of her youth. And the options? They ballooned to $7.80 mil by Black Friday. But whispers from Sal chilled, irregularities in the underlying trades, echoes of 5 mortgages. Dad's ghosts. Indeed. Climax brewed over Christmas. The estate strung in LEDs like a bad omen. Board retreat. Catered prime rib. Eggnog spiked. Agenda packed with FY projections. Ray arrived with a dossier, yellowed IRS memos from '82, Elias's signature bold on the settlement. Leverage. Fiona. He growled in the solarium. Pine sent cloying. Resign as CEO. Cede 20% back to the family pool. Or, this hits the repository. Your mother's grave robbing stunt? Just the appetizer. I scanned the pages. Pulse thundering. Proof irrefutable. Radioactive. You sat on this for decades? For what? A bigger slice?
Legacy, he spat.
Not some skirt's power trip. Elias built this. We protect it. Mom burst and then. Robe askew. Eyes wild. Another bender? Raymond. You fossil. That's my dossier. Dug it up last spring. She snatched it. Pages fluttering like dying birds. Fiona knows. We're cleansing it all. He blinked. Betrayed. Ellie? You. Flipped the script. Brother-in-law. Wired him a copy months back. Insurance. Her laugh was shards of glass. To me. Told you.
Phi.
I play to win. Ray lunged. But I stepped between. Voice ice.
Out.
Or I invoke the ethics clause. You're a consulting side hustle with the competitors? Sal's got receipts. He deflated, stalking into the snow. But the damage was seismic. The board fractured that night. Lila defected to my side. Swayed by the widow's glow-up. Others wavered. Polarizing over Fiona's ruthlessness versus Eleanor's lunacy. Emails flew, coup or comeback. Readers, if leaked, split down aisles of morality. Was I avenging betrayal or forging my own? Mom's scheme, noble restitution or selfish sabotage. I cornered her in the kitchen at midnight. Mulled wine steaming, the house groaning under wind. You fed him the dirt? Set me up to look like the villain. Tested you? Baby. She poured. Steady now. Like Elias tested Jack. Survival of the shrewdest. But there's more, the real twist. She slid an envelope across the island. Manila. Sealed with wax. Dad's handwriting, for Fiona. When ready. My hands shook opening it. Letters. Ledgers. A USB drive. Dad's confession, not just covering Elias, but expanding it. The '05 bubble? His gambit to bail Mom out of a $2 mill Ponzi she touched. Unwitting or not, her investment club with shady brokers. He'd cooked the books to cover her tracks, then died with the weight. Aneurysm triggered by stress. I took the fall for her. Phi, his note read, ink blurred like tears. Don't let it define you. Burn it. Or build on it. Betrayal's layers peeled infinite. Mom hadn't just stolen for justice. She'd run from her own sins, dragging Dad, then me, into the pyre. You knew, I whispered. All along. She met my gaze, unblinking.
I did.
And I'd do it again for love.
Phi.
Twisted as it is. Rage-crusted.
But so did clarity.
The board vote loomed at dawn, full ratification or revolt. I could expose her, crater the stock, walk away clean but broke.
Or
I pocketed the drive, torching the papers in the hearth, flames devouring sins. We're ending it. Full audit.
public.
Repay every cent. Restructure the board. You retire, golden parachute. But no more games. Her smile cracked, genuine grief flashing. And if they come for me, the feds, then we fight. Together. But as she hugged me fierce, final, I felt the flip, her hand slipping something into my pocket. A new burner, programmed with Cayman contacts. Escape hatch. For her. Or me. Dawn broke brittle. Board assembled in the library. Grandpa's urn sentinel on the mantel. I laid it bare, the history, the heist, the heart. Harlan and Sons isn't a throne, it's a trust. We own the sins. Or they own us. Votes tallied, 7-5.
Mine.
Cheers muted. Debates raging in after-calls. Hero or hypocrite. Readers cleaved, applauding my purge, decrying the dynasty's dark heart. Markets dipped, then rebounded. Sal's report sanitized history without indictments. Mom retired to Florida. Villa bought with her parachute. Postcards cheery but sparse. I helmed solo. Expansions thriving. But nights brought dreams. Dad's ghost nodding approval. Elias cackling. Mom's green eyes winking from shadows. Was it happy? The empire stood taller. Widows housed. Legacy laundered. Tragic? The family fractured. Trust a casualty. You decide. Revenge is sweetest when it tastes like ashes. In America, we don't end stories, we sequel them.